What's up, guys? Welcome back to Next Level Health Fit Talks. It's your boy, the Fitness Doctor, and welcome back to another episode. This is episode 2 of the Next Level Fit Talks. So basically, this is a channel where we talk about health and fitness issues. And today I've got a very interesting one that I was just researching too. The other day on the internet, I was just looking at Shaka Zulu pictures. The Zulu King. Shout out to that guy. That guy had a six-pack, he looked lean, he looked very good. And in my head, I was just asking myself, what made Shaka Zulu look so lean, and what made him the warrior he is and look so good? Then I decided to research into it, and I actually noticed that it has a lot to do with health and fitness, and this is what I'm going to talk about today. Alright, so basically today we're just going to look at different things about Shaka Zulu. The last episode, I was talking about calories, and I think it's just going to be a continuation into that. So, like I was saying, the basic fitness lifestyle is calories in plus calories out is equal to weight gain or weight loss. So let's look at Shaka Zulu. So these guys were hunters, and the women would gather. The men would hunt, and the women would gather. So basically, these guys, their diet was on point, guys. Their meal plan, it was on point. If they were to have something called a meal plan, it was really on point. So I was just looking at how these guys used to eat. It's unlike today, when you feel like you want something to eat, you can just go to the nearest shop, or several takeaways that I won't mention, or fast food joints that I won't mention. It's at our disposal. But okay, if you look back into Stone Age, when these guys were there, their next meal was only dependent on their hunting skills. So meaning that the rest of the time before a meal, they were fasting, which goes back again to calories in, which goes to basically what we now call intermittent fasting, where you fast for a certain period of time and eat for a certain period of time. So these guys were always in a fasted state. So for example, what intermittent fasting is really about, I'm going to just explain a bit on this, then I'll go deeper into it when I look into intermittent fasting alone. So intermittent fasting is the thing of where you fast your body. Our bodies use glucose, our bodies use carbohydrates to function, for energy, for my heart pumping now, my hands moving, me talking, me walking, me running, all that is energy. And all the systems in our bodies use energy, and that energy happens to be in the form of carbohydrates, which are then converted to glucose, which is then stored as glycogen. So intermittent fasting is basically, since we use our carbohydrates for energy, and that's how we run. So what happens is that when you don't eat, your body cannot use those carbohydrates because it knows this is my energy source. So what happens when you're fasting is your body will automatically tap into the fat storage for energy. So that's why it will tap into the adipose tissue, the one we see, and even the visceral fat, which is inside. So this is why you would see someone like Shaka the Zulu very lean, because most of the time his body was using fat for energy. And this process of using fat for energy is called ketosis. This is why you see some people talking about the ketogenic diet, the one of using ketones for energy, which is an amazing energy source. This is what I do. I also do intermittent fasting, and it's been working wonders, not only for my body, but for my brain, for so many things. All right, so we've talked about his fasted state. Number 2, these guys would have a lot of vegetables from the forest, the ones that their women would gather, and they would have so much wild fruits, which are very low in calories, which is amazing. And this is why this guy would always stay lean. And even in the food they eat, they used to eat a lot of meat, they used to eat a lot of vegetables, they used to eat milk from the cows, they used to eat eggs, like wildlife eggs, like ostrich eggs and all, which is a very good diet. These guys really had carbohydrates, and if they did have, but basically isitshwala senyawuthi, I don't know if you get what I mean, of which isitshwala senyawuthi is the better option over white mealie meal, white processed mealie meal, because isithola senyamuthi is complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates. So there are complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. I hope I'm not going to confuse anyone here. Complex carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates. So simple carbohydrates, basically the difference between these two is simple carbohydrates release sugar into the blood very quick, which the result is a spike in insulin. So complex carbohydrates release sugar into the blood at a slower rate. So everything like your brown rice, your nyauti, your oats, those are complex carbohydrates. They release sugar into your blood at a slower rate. So the insulin levels are regulated. It doesn't just spike up your insulin. Yet, if you eat white bread and white rice, like they've got a quick spike to your insulin, a quick spike to your sugar, which spikes your insulin. And I don't know if you've noticed, insulin, a lot of insulin in your body makes you gain a lot of weight. For example, I'm going to talk about diabetic patients. Most of them have guts. No offense to any diabetic patients, but this is true. Even my mom is diabetic. Like they end up getting bellies, not because not of any choice of their own, but just because they're taking an added amount of insulin, and insulin has the ripple effect of getting you a bit fatter. All right, so number 3, these guys were very active. So if it was not for hunting, these guys were performing Zulu dances. You know, I think we all know those Zulu dances where the higher the feet, the higher the leg, the higher you throw up the leg, the better dancer you are. And these guys were constantly active. Like they would walk. If you remember your history very well, the Zulu people were nomads, meaning they never stayed in one place. They would move from this place to that place. They would move from that place to that place. Even from raiding, these guys would walk distances of 20, 30 kilometers without feeling anything. And look at what we're doing now just because of the internet, just because of COVID. We sit at our laptops and we're on Zoom calls each and every day. This is why some of us are not getting the results and are not looking as lean as the King Shaka. So I just said I'll talk about this and talk about some of the things they would do. And yeah, so it was the dance, it was the hunting. They would use a lot of energy in the hunting and even war. Like he's famous for the cow horn battle formation, where he removed the long throwing spears, like the long javelin spears, and put short stabbing spears. And I'm just updating you about your history. I'm telling you about some of your history that you might not know or you have forgotten. So he made short stabbing spears that they would get closer to the enemy. So in that war, they would lose a lot of calories because it was so much activity. Basically, anything that makes you sweat, anything that makes you active, very active, will make you lose a lot of calories. So like I go back again to the thing, calories in plus calories out is equal to weight gain or weight loss. So Shaka the Zulu looked very lean because he had an amazing diet, which was his calories in, which he would eat meat, milk, fish. These guys were fishermen also. They would eat a lot of fruits from the forest. They would eat a lot of these things, and that's his calories. Now look at his calories out. These guys would do a lot of hunting. These guys would do a lot of walking from migrating and raids. They would do a lot of, did I mention dancing? I hope I did. They would do a lot of activities generally like that would keep them very active in their lifestyles. So this is why Shaka the Zulu was lean, and I look so much up to him. And I also want to be like him one day, you know, like be a king like that guy. No man, that guy was a king, and I really respect him so much. All right, so if we round up this video, and what I'm talking about is, if you want to look lean, if you want to lose weight, if you want to go about this the right way, just manage the calories you take inside your body. For example, from the food you eat, from anything you put into yourself, manage it very well. I talked about intermittent fasting, that these guys were always in a fasted state. They always were fasting because of the hunting. Like their next meal was dependent on hunting. Don't just go to fast foods. Don't resort to fast foods. And I even put a difference between complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates are the better choice of carbohydrates. Go for the slow sugar releasing carbohydrates, which are your oats, which are your whole grain meals. These are very good because they release sugar at a slower rate, which does not spike your insulin. Then the last thing is calories out. Guys, let's keep walking, let's keep walking, let's keep walking. My target for walking, I would give to everyone, is about 10,000 steps per day. But ideally, at the back of my head, I want at least 13,000. But the average human being now walks about 4,000 steps. So please, guys, we all have smartphones, we all have all these things. Just track the number of steps you're taking. Because if you're not going to manage, if you can manage what you're eating very well, but if you don't manage how those calories are also going out, it slows down the process. So just imagine when you're managing what you're eating and you're also exercising on the other end, and this is calories going out, your weight will be perfect and you will look like the Zulu king, Shaka Zulu. Guys, this was an amazing video, and like and subscribe to the channel and share this video if you benefited so much from it. Thank you so much for joining. It's your boy Tapiwa Zamamba, the fitness doctor. Next Level Health Fit Talks. Shout out.